Yes, it's 9.
Okay, right. Yeah, it's 9 already. Okay, so it's since it's 9, so we'll start. Okay, so we have already gone through the 60 pillars. So altogether, there are 60 pillars. We have gone through all of them, 60 charge. I do not know whether you can remember all of them or whether you have forgotten all of them. But as we go along, it will be very useful to count. So the purpose of the 60 charge as we go along, we also explore the 10 gods. And these 10 gods will be something that is extremely useful. Even earlier this evening with the chat, there was a question asked about husband and wife. So even though I said I didn't really cover relationship yet, but of course I understood that direct wealth means wife. So it'd be very useful to know the 10 gods. And so the 60 charge as we go along, and also the combination and the clash will be something that we will cover. And so after this, we will then move on into the next area where typically the most common, most typical 3 key questions that people tend to ask is, of course, number 1, make money, wealth. In a way, we can say that when people are young people, possibly from the age of 15, maybe to the age of 25, will be more particular about relationship. Teenagers, girlfriend, boyfriend, choosing your marital spouse. So perhaps this may be the questions the younger crowd will be more interested in. And then, of course, the career building for 20 years, that would be the wealth, the making money, choosing a good job, career, and whatnot. I think after a certain age, then, of course, until the end, that will be the health. And so people talk about health. Now, out of these 3 area, of course, we'll try to explore as much as we can. Speaking of, I don't intend to start with health today, but since the topic of Ng Mantat, so the issue of Ng Mantat, who has recently passed away on the 27th of February. He has passed away. And so he was born, according to the sources, 2nd of January 1951. So it's good that you go back and you plot the chart of Ng Mantat, and you can see a few things that he has. Wait a minute, hold on about Ng Mantat. I think something is not proper here. To be fair, I don't really have his hour. So let me just, it's unknown. His hour is actually unknown. Sorry. So let me just do it one more time. This time, of course, will be unusual. So the hour is not known to me. So we're not known to the hour. All right. So this will be one. Now, the one thing that is immediately noticeable, of course, is, as I mentioned, the crossing of the luck pillar. The crossing of the luck pillar. The crossing of the luck pillar. That usually, when we cross over a luck pillar, there will be a tremendous major change in a person. And so usually there are occasions where crossing the luck pillar is also the demarcation of mortality. Demarcation of mortality. And so therefore this will be where Ng Mantat appears that he did not survive the following pillar. The pillar doesn't survive. Okay, and this pillar, of course, is where we need to take a look into the sign. What is this pillar? Anybody recognize the character? What is this pillar?
You Anybody? Mean the yellow one?
Ping, yeah, yes,
ping,
the yellow.
Yeah, Ping Shen.
Ping Shen means fire, monkey.
Fire, yeah.
Monkey. Monkey clash with what? Monkey clash with what?
Tiger.
Monkey clash with tiger. So if monkey clash with tiger, and Ng Mantat is a
Run tight.
Yeah. Clash. And in the heaven stem, what element clash with water? Water clash with what?
Fire. Ping.
Fire.
Heaven and earth clash.
Heaven and earth clash. Correct, huh? Therefore, heaven and earth clash, huh? That comes into it. Huh? So you can see that something along the line, that come and clash. Rat clash with what? Rat clash with what?
Horse.
Rat
Horse.
clash with horse. Yes. So rat clash with horse. And so the rat clash with horse. Huh? So the rat will clash with the horse. What clash with earth? Huh? What clash with earth?
Wood. Wood.
Wood controls.
Wood controls, sorry. Water.
Earth controls water, but wood controls earth. No? So therefore, wood controls earth, no? to the certain degree, as we can come to see. So therefore, this is where the clashes, the 6 clashes, will be something that is useful for us to learn. So it will be nice. We can also learn what are the what happens when things will clash. And of course, Mantat will also have a tiger. We also have a tiger. So therefore, the thing will also clash to the. And so this is where, of course, in the study of Pachi, mortality of a person is when on the natal chart, all elements, every one of them are all clashed over. And therefore, when they're all clashed, they're all neutralized. But not necessarily clash away. Not necessarily clash away. Sometimes they are also combined away. They're also combined. So either they are combined away or they are clashed away, and that will be the sign of mortality. The sign of mortality. All right. So into this part, of course, you can see that again. We'll come to that more. We'll come to that more once we talk about the issue of health. But this is the news pop up that Eng Mantat recently a celebrity in Hong Kong has passed away. So just out of curiosity, we'll just take out his chart, look at his life, and then of course, these are some things that normally will help us to perform our understanding better. We can do case studies, reading the life of people, looking into when they start their career, and then when they get married, and then what is the popularity. So he was admitted to hospital in 2013 and for heart failure due to viral infection, but that was in 2013. But now he confirmed that he suffered from liver cancer. Okay, so the nature of death is liver cancer. Okay, of course, we'll come to more into what does each of these stems represent. What does it represent? Which one represents the liver? And which one represents each part? And then we'll try to map it out. We'll try to map it out. Okay, but sometimes along the area, of course, we try to understand what does the 5 elements metaphysic covers into each of these health. And so as we go along, that I want to be very clear that earlier there was a question asked about pink fire and sin metal. Now, of course, yang pink fire and sin metal may be understood to be husband and wife, but that's not the only, that's not the only representation. One must understand, because pink fire represents a lot of things. And so the question that is more important is, what do you want to ask? What is your question? What is your question? And then from there, the reading will come. Okay, so today we'll focus a bit more about wealth and career. We'll start just by the very basic part. Then, of course, Jenny has shared the relationship that was fantastic. So I hope you all have downloaded the relationship as well. This is very good. And definitely there will be something that we'll cover when we come along. That means who is what, and then how do we read the relationship in the chart to see which is dominant. But if you may, let us just continue on the issue of wealth, and then from the analysis of our work. And now what is the crucial part? What is the most dominant part when we look into the nature of your work? Now, when we look into, again, relationships and to understand, the reading from the 4 pillars, or the parts is actually from right to left, where the year represents external. As you move into it, represents internal. Okay, so external to internal. And the relationship can also be considered that when you're looking from young, that means when you're an infant, to when you're young, adult, and of course elderly. And so the shifting pillars, the shifting dominance would mean that when a baby is born, so for young babies, if naturally a young baby is not married, so if you're not married, your spouse pillar has not been activated. If you're not working, the career pillar has not been activated. Therefore, the year pillar is the dominant pillar, But of course, when we move on to the Ming Dynasty, as you look into Qi Ping's work, then he shifted the dominance to day with the structure of the month. Therefore, now with a more modern interpretation, the career pillar represents the month pillar. But I think if you follow Professor Zhou with her party would be this is a spouse pillar. I think the opinion is that the spouse pillar is probably the older version, because back in the ancient days, the average age of people getting married is 13, 14. So when they're 13, 14, they get married. And of course, in the ancient days, for women, marriage is their only career. Because women do not get, there are no employment for women, there are no jobs. So as a result, the spouse pillar was referred to the month pillar. But maybe in our today's interpretation, we look at career and we look at work. And so the first thing, as we consider, the day master, of course, is always the beginning. The day master is always the starting point. And so here we are looking into a Jia day master. And then we look into the season, and the season is to consider the most dominant element in the hidden stem. Here, this is a pure Gui water. Not Gui water. Okay, so now, and so that represents a structural analysis. So the question is, what structure is this? Okay, can anybody tell me what is Gui water to a Jia person? What does Gui water represent? Anybody?
Resource.
Resource. Direct or indirect? Direct or indirect? Come on.
Direct.
Direct. Okay. How do you know direct? Right? One yin, one
yang.
yang. One yin, one yang. Okay. Okay. So one yin, one yang. So, oh, Kim Tae says Ng Man Tat got 3 wives. Really, I didn't know that. He has 3 wives. Wow. Ng Man Tat has 3 wives. Well, one, not too sure about the other one. Okay, so Ng Man Tat got 3 wives. This is another wives. All 3 girlfriend, 3 girlfriend. Right. Okay, didn't know that. Well, there we are. So Ng Man Tat got 3 wives. Wow, really got all the opportunities there. Okay, now. Probably tiger hour. Okay. All right. So maybe that's how we can guess. If you read his life, then we can more or less take a wild guess the hour. There's sometimes another hobby that some of us can do. Okay, so direct. So remember, Kueh water is yin. Yin. Yin and yang is direct. Therefore, if one is yin, one is yang, this is direct. So therefore, that's a harmonious. And so this person has a career pillar. The structure pillar is that. So this is a direct resource structure. So this person is a direct resource structure. So that's how we want to understand it. Now, the other thing that is crucial is the year pillar represents your external. The year pillar represents your fasa. The year pillar represents how people see you. What do they see you? And so this is going to be the important one. Now, what is ping fire to a jia? Day master?
Output.
Output,
No.
very good. What kind of output? Eating God or hurting officer?
Eating God.
Same element, or yang and yang. Is it eating God?
Eating God. Eating God.
Eating God.
Eating God.
Eating God.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now, how do we interpret this? When we look into the chart, it means to say that people see you. People see you as an eating God. Because remember, these are all hidden. We call this the hidden. These are all what we call the hidden. They're called the hidden stand, means people cannot see. People cannot see, except for one. All are hidden except for one. Which is not hidden? Which cannot hide one? All are hidden except for one. Which one cannot hide one? Anybody? Huh?
Ping and Ting cannot hide.
Yes. Fire cannot hide. So therefore, Ting cannot hide. But the rest all hidden. And therefore, all these are all hidden. So hidden stand means these are your inner character that people do not know about you. People will not know unless they get to know you better. Because when they first meet you, they only see your ear pillar. They only see your ear. Once they get to know you better, then they move on to your man pillar. And of course, when they're more intimate with you, more personal, then only they see your day pillar. That is why career is your office. So people in your office, your colleague, should see your man pillar. But strangers outside will see your ear pillar. Therefore, people see you as an eating god. But you actually are a direct resource. So you are a direct resource, but people see you as an eating god. Therefore, that is into one part your career pillar. So since we have picked up Ng Man Tat's pillar, let's see how we can also read Ng Man Tat. What do people see Ng Man Tat has? What do people see Ng Man Tat has? People see Ng Man Tat has People see what? People see indirect resource.
Indirect resource.
Indirect resource. In Chinese is a Hu San, the very philosopher, the funny character, the odd one. So indirect resource is one. Therefore, that's where people see Umantat has an indirect resource person. We've got to see what does it mean afterwards. But what is he truly is? What is he truly is? But he is a rock wealth. So he is essentially a rock. So he's essentially a rock wealth person. So therefore that would be. And the thing about it is that the indirect resource is not rooted. It's not rooted. So if it is not rooted, it is not a very strong fasa. It's not a very strong face. And so, so sooner or later, people can see through him. So therefore, that's just a little bit of a reading into that particular light that we want to consider. So we want to look into a few things. We want to consider the career pillar. So we want to see what is your external. We want to see your structure. Then we want to see to your day master. So therefore, that is the one part about the career. Now, the career will be more suitable for young people. So teenagers who are wondering what they should do in their life, younger people who are still in the process of making money will find that the career will be something that represents the issue of wealth. So to them, wealth is career. So to them, wealth is career. And that has been the reading so far, that when we look into people asking for money, asking for career, we look into that career pillar. But along the line, when consulting somebody that is more elderly, somebody that is past the middle age, perhaps it is not so much of career, it is more on investment. It is more on passive income. And so the question of wealth really depends on whether you are looking at a young person or looking at somebody who is more advanced in age. Because for them, to them, wealth is not, like they always say, first you work hard for your money. Therefore, the first career is you want to work hard for money. But of course, for somebody who has already made their money, they want their money to work hard, for them. Okay, so after I work hard for my money, I want my money to work hard for me. And therefore, so the question of wealth depends on, are you asking the first one or are you asking the second one? Because if you're asking for the second one, then it's not the career pillar that you should be looking at. It will be the hour pillar. Because the hour pillar represents, after you got married, you are now at the advanced age. This is your children pillar. This is the children's pillar. So if the question is about children, we look into the hour pillar. If the question is about investment, we also look at the hour pillar. And so the hour pillar will be the passive income generation. What is suitable, what is good, or the questions about that comes from the hour pillar. So the hour pillar, look into the investment wealth analysis. All right. And so we'll try to explore these two parts into it. Okay, so the first part that we want to consider, let's focus on the hour pillar to begin with. The checklist for our pillar. What do we want to find? Wealth. Got money or not? So the question we want to find is, got money or not? Indirect wealth or direct wealth? Number two, got friend or not? Or got rock wealth? So these 4 stars will be good. Wealth represents money. Companion star represents the self being strong, indicating the drive to succeed. And therefore, it may mean success at the end. Success at the end. We take a look into, let's say, we look into Bill Gates. This is Bill Gates. I think I've given you Bill Gates chart before. So Bill Gates, born on 28 October 2015. So we take a look into Bill Gates chart. Okay. So let's take a look into Bill Gates. Now I presume you all know Bill Gates, one of the richest people. Yeah, so I'm sure you know Bill Gates and just put a picture to see. All right. Okay. So now we already done a few things. I hope I brainwashed you enough to cover that we need to look into the season, the routing, the location. So all those things we have done. This is a range. But now let's just focus on the hour pillar, because Bill Gates is really quite an advanced age person. So therefore his wealth will not be on the. So what are we looking for? We want to look for number one. He is a Ren. He is a Ren water people. Ren water is one of the richest, and Ren Shi is Fui Kong, isn't it?
Yes.
So we know Fui Kong. So once again, I think already brainwash. Fui Kong is either what? Either a dog or a
Dragon.
Dragon. And what are the sign? Either water,
Wu, Ren,
Wu, or
Ren,
Keng.
Keng.
So Ren, Wu, or Keng. So therefore, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 6. Some books put there 4 only, but anyway, Ren is one of them. So Ren, Keng is dog or dragon. So these are the Fui Kong. So Fui Kong are hard to kill. They're hard to kill. They are general stars. Therefore, Fui Kong, day master will be one that tends to rise to command. So therefore, Bill Gates is a Fui Kong. All right, so those are the things that we have covered earlier on about what is the Ren dog. We also look into the season. We also look into what? We also look into routine. We also look into season. So we also look into season. So this is autumn, isn't it? Autumn.
Yes, strong.
So autumn is right?
Strong.
Strong. So autumn is the birth of winter. So autumn, so make this strong. Rainwater is rooted. So we learn about the location. Sitting on 7 kilo. Right. Okay. All right. So those are things we have covered. Now, as we move on to the next part about his wealth generation, we want to consider. So looking at our pillar number 1, does he have any wealth star or not? Does he have any wealth star? Got or not? Check. No,
No wealth star at our pillar.
No wealth star at our pillar. Okay, therefore no. All right. Does he have companion star or not?
Yes, friend.
Yes. Friend. Okay, so the answer is yes. And the companion star, is it on the stem or is it on the branch?
Branch.
On the branch. Better. Therefore, it is better. So it's better to be on the branch. So therefore, because branch is longer term. Branch is longer term, branch is stronger. So therefore, yes, not on the stem, but on the branch. Okay, check. So therefore, will Bill Gates be able to keep the money that he makes? Will he remain rich? Or some people, even though they are rich, but during their last days in life, they lose everything, and become poor. So there are people who may be born rich, successful, but their last days is poverty, or they have lost back a lot. So that is a question that we need to look into. So in that case, Bill Gates will remain rich. And he's able to survive, his legacy. Now, the pig, this is the pig. What does it clash? What does the pig clash with? Who does the pig clash with?
Snake.
Snake. Therefore, Bill Gates should be concerned with the owl, or with the animal sign that is the snake. Therefore, that would be his concern, his contribution. And is there a snake?
At 46 luck pillar.
At 46 luck pillar. And so in a way, it may appear that it's over. Therefore, we may have to, I mean, if you are more interested in, then we may want to go to the age. We may want to go to the age 46 and see what the experiences that Bill Gates has gone through. But so far, it has been passed. If it's not yet passed, if let's say the snake is somewhere around here, then of course it will be more of a concern, because in a way, he's at the, because our pillar is more relevant at the elderly, So the strengths are more affected. But if it's very young, then no big deal. No big deal. Something like that. If the snake is over, then it's fine. So in that case, he's able to sustain his. So if this person comes to ask you, what should I invest in? What should I invest in? So the question he asked, what should I invest in? What should be the answer? Sorry?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Why do you say that? Why say that?
Elon Musk also invests in Bitcoin.
Wow, Elon Musk invests in Bitcoin, but Elon Musk got different chart.
Joking.
So he asked you, should I buy property or not? Property. Property normally is earth, isn't it? Property is earth. But his one is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, because water is currency. Water and currency. So maybe Bill Gates should invest in Bitcoin, so you're not wrong. All right. Metal, sin metal. Sin metal, what investment is more for sin metal? Precious metal. And of course, property. The more earth you have, the more property you have. The more earth you have, the more property you have. Water is cash, cash currency, investment, stocks.
David, do we just look at the main chi?
You should look at the hour chi.
Only the hour chi for investment, but you
for more
highlighted
dominant
all the
investment. Sorry?
You highlighted the day, month, and year.
Okay.
For the Wu and Ji Earth.
No, that's just to show that he has a lot of earth on it. Just to show that he has a lot of. But
okay.
Start with the hour pillar.
Okay.
Start with the hour pillar. So this guy comes to you. Okay. What shall I invest in? You should consider water. You should consider water. You should consider currency, stock, liquid assets. Liquid assets are stocks and currencies. So these are all very liquid assets. Yes, we hold them. Bitcoin currency, why not? Elon Musk is already in cryptocurrency. I think you, Microsoft, should also be in. Precious metal, Therefore, your luck is there. Your luck is mistreated in the investment. So therefore that's it. But just by the note, he appears to have quite a good number of property. Earth. Wow, 3 earths all together. Therefore, he will also tend to have property. So as it is, but these are accumulated over the period. All right, so here we look into the exploration. But of course, as we know, if wealth is in your career pillar, this represents great financial prosperity. So this also wealth. So if you have wealth in your month stamp, rich. Therefore, wealth in your month stamp has great propensity for wealth. Therefore, Bill Gates has wealth on his side, and of course he can sustain. So this would be his chart. Okay, so that's how we look into from the career to your investment. Okay, but now let's come back to so it's come along. We'll now come back to the career. We come to the career, and now we explore the 5 elements. The 5 elements. And now there are 2 things here. We need to consider. One is your most dominant element. What is your most dominant? Now, the most dominant element is the one that you are attracted to, that you like to be involved. So your most dominant element is the element that you want or you like to be involved in. But the most useful God is the one most appropriate, the one that you should be in. Okay, so therefore these are always the 2 things that sometimes can create a conflict. What they like to do, and what they should do are 2 things. And so in a career advice, it will be better the advice is on a useful God rather than the most dominant. But dominant represents what you like, what you enjoy to do. So, some people want to be an artist, but then if the useful God is not taken care of, they may not be successful in their career. So we have to consider what is useful and what is the most dominant. Now to consider Bill Gates, what is dominant? Let's also look into his chart. Look into his chart. And we'll consider what are the dominant. We haven't covered useful God yet, so therefore everything is related. So we just need to uncover this layer by layer, bit by bit, to look into. So the 2 things here we want to consider. Let's forget the 2021. Just ignore the 2021 because career advice is not just for the year. The career advice is for the natal. So we're going to look at the natal. So we want to ask 2 questions. What is the most dominant? What is the most dominant? And what is the useful God? What is the useful God? Now, do you have your chart for the useful God? If you have your useful God chart, then you may want to map out the season. So we can actually find out. But of course, we're referring to the chart. The chart may not necessarily be the accurate. Therefore, the chart is a useful chart. It does provide help, but one must not refer to the chart like the only gospel. We must also be able to look into all the other elements as well. unregulating. But anyway, we'll just do a little bit on the useful God. Just a little. Anybody knows or what is the useful God? Is there any anybody with a chart? Do you know what am I talking about?
Not sure. Not sure, David. I don't know what you want.
You don't know what I want really. Oh, dialogue. Yongshen, Yongshen. Do you have the chart to show the useful God, Yongshen? Don't know. Never, it's okay, it's okay. So, we can just look into the regulating God. Okay. So first and foremost, if you look at the chart, which is the most dominant element?
Metal.
The most dominant, just by the number, metal. So the most dominant metal is, okay, so the most dominant is metal. Yep, that's right. So the most dominant is, but because metal is really very strong. Yes, Kim Tae, correct. Your requirement chart, exactly. The useful God is the requirement chart. That's right. Sorry. The jargon that is used by Ming, because Ming's try to avoid the word gods. I think it will be best. So therefore, requirement chart. Now, when metal is too strong, in autumn somewhere, he's born in autumn, what may regulate area may be that means autumn is too strong. Then what is regulating it? So you have to see which one would be very good. Now, water. So water is not because water here you'll find what is very strong. So one may consider fire. So one may say it's fire. Because fire controls metal. So at least if the metal is too strong, we may have regulating God to set it aside. Okay, so maybe the young Bill Gates may like metal, metal related, but useful God would be fire, something along. Okay, but anyway, no, don't worry. We will bring out the requirement chart. We will talk about useful God in another session, but at least at the moment, because, anyway, the study approach is layer by layer one. We cannot simultaneously learn everything. Therefore, it's piece by piece, everything will put in. But at least we know the steps directly. But I will try to brainwash you by repeating it many times. So therefore, that's what I can do at the moment. All right. Yeah, so therefore, all right. But now that we can say fire and metal, then what is it? What does all these? What does all these team actually represent? So if it is fire, the things that are fire is about your manners, right? It's about civility. Okay, how to determine? Okay, Kim Tae asked a question: how to determine most dominant element? The most dominant element will be easier to actually determine. It is determined mostly. Okay, one thing. Let's say for example here. Yeah, let's say for example this is Mantat. Now, the first thing to determine, of course, we're not looking to. We're not. I'm not suggesting. Right? I'm not suggesting that this is the only way. The one way to determine. Number one, the naive approach, which is not correct all the time. The number one approach is called counting. Counting. Therefore, Eng Mantat has three earth, 2 fire, 2 wood, 2 water, and 1 metal. And his chart is absent of yin, absent. Therefore, his chart doesn't have yin. So this is a very yang chart. He has all the yang, but none of the yin, except for the water. That's one thing. But counting is not strong because we must also see the strength. Basically, the season. So in a way, Eng Mantat is born during winter. Eng Mantat is born during winter. And this born during the red, which is the pure water. And therefore is a rainwater person, rooted in water, winter. Water is the dominant element. Water is the dominant. Okay, so we can learn by the dominant in the season. So first by season. So first by season, second by counting. So first look at the season, then second look at it, then you count, then you count. Because if there are two, chances are is rooted lah. Chances are there are rooting if there are more. That's why counting can also help. But it's only to look at it. Bill Gates is born in autumn. He's born in autumn. Dog is autumn. That's when autumn, usually metal is strong. Metal is strong. Metal is strong. Sin metal, rooted into it. Therefore, metal can be a very strong element. Not metal, earth is also quite present as well. But the earth not protrude to the step. All right, so these are just some of the little bit into looking into how we can then map out the element into the flow. So wood, fire, earth, metal. Now if you can remember from the beginning, wood is about benevolence. Fire is about Li. Li is manners or passion. Earth is about what?
Trust.
Metal is about what?
Execution.
Execution.
Justice.
Execution. Correct. Water is about what?
Wisdom.
Okay. Now, wisdom basically means information. Information. A career where giving information, dissemination information becomes your job. What are the job? Information and transportation. Information and transportation. So transportation, information is your job. Your job is in the provision of information. Metal, of course, is about justice. It's about execution, legal, banking, so on. So therefore, has this. Okay. Trust is about storage. Trust is about keeping. Keeping. In the business of keeping. Okay. Wood, of course, is also about filter. Filter. It's also about provision. Provision. So therefore, these are some of the fire is about ideas. It's about ideas. It's about innovation as it comes into it. Okay, so as we look into all these main broad ideas before we come in, we'll try to map out that there are 5 types of elements into the yin and yang, and now we come on into bringing them out into your 10 gods and how these 10 gods comes to play. So once you have to remember where the 10 gods are fitted, and very good. Okay, now as we look into the 10 gods in relation to career now, again, now remember I'm talking about career. I'm talking about career. Career means I'm talking about this one. I'm talking about this one. Okay, I'm talking about this one. So we're talking about this one. We as a main one. But sometimes to a relationship, we may want to extend it to be here as well. At least to see how the interaction goes. Okay. So anyway, direct wealth. So direct wealth direct wealth should be employees. Direct wealth should be employees. Direct wealths are known as manager. And Datuk Joy Yap will use the word director. So employees, manager, director. And therefore, direct wealth structure will be very good becoming a manager. They are very suitable for routine type. They are very good for repetition work. Therefore, they should work in large organization because they are very orderly. And of course, their job is mostly attention to detail. Therefore, they make good managers, good organization skills. So that is why in the ancient Confucian period, even during the Ming Dynasty, direct wealth is one of the three pressures. Direct wealth is precious. But then again, in the old Confucius state, law-abiding citizens is always welcome. So therefore, as a good administrator, that will be the direct wealth. So direct wealth works very well in an organization. So direct wealth will prosper if they work in a larger organization. Therefore, they can do bigger things in their life. Indirect wealth are self-employed. Indirect wealth. Indirect wealth. Indirect wealth usually means make money without working. Make money without working. Now, of course, one must understand that in the ancient Chinese society, merchants are fourth-class citizens. Merchants are fourth-class citizens. They are below artisans, which are below landowners, farmers, which are even below all the rulers and lords. So therefore, the first-class citizen, the rich, the elites, the ruling class, then the landowners, the artisans, and then the merchants. Because merchants are indirect law. Merchants have a very low standing in society in those days. But of course, in today's world, in fact, we prefer merchants than artisans or even farmers to a certain degree. But anyway, the indirect wealth is in today's world. Indirect wealth is actually maybe what more people prefer. It's like, don't be stupid lah. Why you want to work for your money? This is a good worker. This is a good worker. So indirect wealth is ways to make money without working. Therefore, that is why they talk about investors, they talk about entrepreneur, they talk about trading, franchising. These are the structure of people where they don't really work one out. So therefore, indirect wealth are merchants. In a way, indirect wealth people are big picture people. Their weakness is that they don't have the ability to have attention to details. So they're not very detail oriented. And usually, of course, in the ancient society, there's a tendency to brag. There's a tendency to brag. The reason tendency to brag because indirect wealth people, their key philosophy in work is if there is any problem that money can solve, those are not real problems. So therefore, use money to solve problems is the tendency of their approach. Therefore, it is more chin chai in the way they do problem solving. Huh? So that's where the direct wealth is more welcome. But anyway, this would be just to look into how the 10 gods is in relation to the kind of career attitude that we would have. Okay, direct officer. Chen Guan, right? Direct officer is law abiding, is compliant. Right? It's very meticulous about keeping the order. And therefore, direct officer is, again, one of the three pressures. Huh? Again, three pressures in the ancient Ming, in the ancient Confucius period. Huh? So direct officer is involved in organization where they are mostly in compliance. So they work very well in quality control. Huh? They become very good QC supervisor. They become lawyers. They become human resource. They are involved in project management. They are excellent in project management. Huh? So they should be involved in project management work. They should be very good in execution, getting the job done. So getting the job done, direct officer. So therefore that would be the kind of the kind that they are preferred to, the direct officer. Now, on to the other hand, we have the gangsters. We have the loan sharks, the martial artists, the athletics, the risky business, the stuntmen. And therefore, those are jobs that require taking excessive risk and guts. Therefore, that will be the 7 key. The 7 key. Now, 7 killing, a very unpopular word, is because 7 killing, if it is inauspicious, Robin asked a question. Okay, we'll come to that. Actually, no, there's no judge on top. It's judicial field, but not really judge. Okay, not really the judge in a way, because a direct officer tends to follow the law. Not really into the court, but judges, this are a bit different. Because judges because decisive, need to be able to make risky decisions. That will be a bit different. So 7 killing is prosperous. 7 killing is auspicious if there is eating God. So if there is absence of eating God, because eating God controls the 7 killing. Therefore, eating God is about refined. It's very refined, very educated, very artistic. Therefore, in a way, with the presence of eating God controlling 7 killing, then all this risk becomes what we call calculated risk. Calculated risk. Yes, so they are calculated risk. And so they're making it auspicious. So in the absence of eating God, 7 killing may be just excessive risk without danger. It's very dangerous because 7 killing can also kill the day master. That would be the one thing we see.
David, can I ask,
Sure,
the
sure.
eating God and 7 killing, must it be both in the month pillar?
No. It's just somewhere else really.
Okay, so long
has to be
as
somewhere
the
else really.
eating God.
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Understand, right? Okay. So if this is so let me just right. Okay, you can see here, right? So right now on the chart, this is
Yeah.
Yes, right now on this chart, isn't it? Right now on this chart, the day master is a Jia wood. This is a Jia. What is this? What is keng?
Kung is 7 killing.
7 killing. Therefore, this is a 7 killing structure. Do you see eating God?
At the Ping year.
Ping or ting?
Ping year.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's the thing that controls keng, isn't it? Okay. So in a way, this is what the symbolism actually represents. Symbolism actually. Okay, Richard.
Okay,
So
understood.
remember, eating God. Eating God.
Okay, thank you.
In God. So therefore, it is eating God that comes into place. All right. Direct resource. Another precious. But again, all these are ancient Confucius value system, suitable during the Ming Imperial Court. Then they want to employ government officials. They want them to be direct. They want them to be direct officer. They want them to be direct wealth and direct resource. These are considered to be the more virtuous people, the more honest and law-abiding. So they don't like the indirect resource, they don't like the 7 killing, they don't like the indirect wealth. Because they consider it to be not noble. Making money without work is not noble. There's no nobility into the part. So therefore, they look down on these people. 7 killing, of course, is tends to take risk, which means they tend not to obey orders as easily as a direct officer. So something like that. Now, direct resource. To be a resource person is to be very good in research, very good in providing support. Therefore, academic work, research, development, scientist, teacher, these are the people who are ability to provide resource. Therefore, that's considered to be support. And direct resource normally means proper support. That means the proper support, the conventional support. Therefore, they should be able to look for direct resource in that light. On to the other hand, indirect resource is to think outside the box. So indirect resource people are people who think outside the box, who are able to have unconventional thinking. Unconventional. So let's say, for example, a direct resource will work to become a doctor, but an indirect resource will work to become a healer. Okay? And therefore, they are religious. They go into supernatural, they go into spiritual, so they become indirect. And they are very good in spies and so on. So these are just to look into the two types of work and the two types of how they solve their problems or how they look into it. So this would be the kind of career that can come into this. Okay, so yeah, there is a question just now in the chat. So just now in the chat. So just now in the chat, what if the chart has, what if in a chart having EG also have IR? EG also have IR. That IR is here. Therefore, rainwater is an indirect resource to the jiawu. What happens, of course, is that rainwater clash with the pink fire. Okay, so Tan will ask a question, what if you have EG? What if you have EG and what you have IR? Well, clash, clash. Clash, so therefore there's a clash. But if you want to talk about clash, you want to talk about clash. You want to talk about clash, then before we find out clash, we need to see this one is rooted. This is rooted. The other one is rooted or not? The other one not rooted. And then not only rooted out, this sitting on metal, metal produce water. Therefore, the rain and fire, the rainwater and fire clash, the rain will win. The rain will win. And what does it mean? It means that the indirect resource will win over the eating god. You come into this. Okay. If clash, it will not become auspicious, then it may not be so auspicious because this clash is inside the natal chart. Therefore, there's an internal conflict. There's an internal conflict. Internal conflict between resource and output, of course. Therefore, this is a resource and output. And so what does it mean? It means that this person may be a point whereby overemphasize on resource that doesn't produce any report. Therefore, this person's internal problem will be the lack of confidence in providing output. I mean, okay, maybe let me just put it into a more scenario case. This is your employee. You ask your employee to do some work. Please prepare a report. After I give you deadline 3 days. After 3 days, the report still not done. Say, what not done? Because still research still not done yet. I haven't finished doing research because indirect resource is about research. And water is always everywhere. Therefore, this person research everywhere. And why does the person research everywhere? Because indirect is unconventional. Therefore, the person tries to look for unconventional resource everywhere without any proper order and guideline. And because of that, not able to produce, not able to come up with a work that is good. So therefore, this kind of clash is not auspicious because this employee is person who think more than they do. They think they do more than they do. So not a very productive employee. If you're talking about this kind of a clash. So yep. So I think Tan, you got it right, in the sense that you just asked quite a critical question that says what happened to this person. All right. All right. Now, friend. A friend star is very much about partners. A partnership. So team sports, law firm, accounting firm, these are all in a team or group. Therefore, they work better in a partnership. Yeah. Now, direct wealth, employed. Direct wealth, employed. Indirect wealth, self-employed. Direct officer, employed. Servant killing, self-employed. Okay. Direct resource, employed. Indirect resource, freelance. Project-based. So indirect freelancer. Freelancer lah. Spies are freelancer, agents, CIA, indirect private investors. So these are all the words. Friend partnership. Friend partnership. Professional. So the friend structure is one that is professional. Be a professional. And work in an organization. To achieve, you should be like law firm, accounting firm, or like a group of professionals. Therefore, the rock wealth, entrepreneur. entrepreneur, partnership. Entrepreneur but partnership. Therefore, they tend to take more high risk, special operations, project based. This one is routine based. So friend star routine based. If you work in an accounting firm, every year do reporting, do filing, do tax reporting, law firm, documents, housing loan, conveyancing. Therefore, friend is order, teamwork, orderly, partnership, professionals. And while Rockwell is also partnership, but entrepreneur, project based, come together in very loose team. Therefore, they move around, coming to that. Okay, so these are the relationship, as we can see. Now, eating God. Eating God is behind the scene. Eating God likes the fine dining. They are fine diners, hence the word eating God. They're excellent food critic, I tell you. Eating God is fantastic as a food critic. My daughter is an eating God. So for you, I tell you. So particular about food, I tell you. Right? She'll know what goes into the food. And she's very much eating God. Therefore, they need to go behind the scenes. So they will be authors, writers, book writer, script writing, songwriting, teaching, publication. They need to be behind the scene. They are in a creative role. They need to be creative. Therefore, they are creative in the interior. Hurting officer, of course, is then the performer. Sales, output. So therefore, they are the one who sing, the one who acts, the one who are basically dealing with people. And hurting officer would be those extrovert. So performers are the extrovert. And while, of course, eating God is introvert. So eating God is introvert. They like introvert jobs. Hurting officer needs to shine. They needs to perform. Therefore, they need the attention of everybody. So therefore, it comes into the... All right, so these are the 10 gods in Korea. This is just skimming the surface that we'll try to come to it. So at the end of the day, the objective for today is, in a way, the ability to provide consultation advice on wealth. For the young person, what career should I join? Should I work in an organization or should I not? Which area should I go into? And of course, for the more with money, what shall I invest in, and whether I can keep or sustain my wealth or not. Right, there you go. So this will be what we can do for the day. Next week, we will then move on to relationship, and then we'll cover health. And then we'll look into the interrelation of relationship health in the first round. Then we'll revisit this with deeper as we then integrate all these three into a more deeper reading for people. So far, right? So I think with that, we'll end up the day. I'll see you next week then.
Thank you, David.
Okay, most welcome. Any questions, please continue to use the chat. Yeah. Okay. I'll shut off here. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, David.